Alright, new day, and I gotta get something in the tow vehicle, and I'm gonna show you how I believe it's gonna work for us when we go boondocking. Nice weather out though.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream. It's relatively nice weather. It's gonna be 47 today. There's hardly any wind. You remember yesterday? Look at branches and stuff in our yard. There's branches down back there. Yeah, wow. I can't believe that we have no wind today. But then we got snow coming in tomorrow. They're saying anywhere from 1 to 3 to 2 to 4. Who knows how many. So what am I doing? I got the truck turned around and I'm going to be working in the bed of the truck. There's a reason. I know this layout. I know exactly what I need to do to put that winch in the truck. Yesterday I was working on this thing and this is so messed up. It's beyond any kind of repair, and I called the repair shop and I only paid like $80 for this winch. And you can get comparable winches for $50, maybe $60. This doesn't have any great features or anything like that. But just because this plastic cover was broken, they said it was going to be about $45 for the entire thing. You could only buy it with the control board too, which is just a couple solenoids and, of course, the mounting for all that. I'm not going to buy that. So I just did what everybody else would do. So that was Gorilla Tape, the whole thing. So this is all Gorilla Tape. There's a couple screws holding it on, and I reapplied the decal over top. So yeah, I'm going to put this into the truck. And I think what I'm going to do is take this battery that I bought used at the wrecking yard, and it has been the battery in our RV for the last few years. And I'm going to go ahead and use it in the back of the truck like I used to, because I made this really crudely made battery box. I mean, the crudeness of it is pretty bad, but it's got the features that I want in it, and yeah, we'll see it all. Let me go ahead and start on this, and we'll show you a little bit further along what this thing looks like. Whew. That thing's a tight fit. The old truck had a little bit more wiggling room than this one does. It took a little finessing, and it took this porta power. I had to get my porta power out and a BFH, or a mini BFH, and definitely had to do a little bit of hammering, but it's positioned exactly where it needs to be at this point. So now all I got to do is just drill about 4 1/2-inch holes and 1 3/8-inch hole, and then put the plates that I made, of course, years ago on the back side. I'll show you what that looks like when it's all done, but wow, it's in here finally. All right, now that I drilled those holes and I got metal shavings everywhere, I gotta get my shop vac out. Metal shavings is one thing that this carpet don't like. It just might as well be Velcro, little pieces of Velcro. It just hangs on. Basically, I've got to take these plates and slide them up behind. This one's notched on both sides for the stake pockets, but it slides up behind, and then of course there's nuts I welded on there so I don't have to hold the nuts. And then I just run the bolts in and sandwich it. And I'll show you what that looks like. I know it might be a little confusing right now, but it'll make sense once it's up, so let's do that. Okay, so here I am kind of laying down in the bed. Laying in bed, doing videos. And this is what it looks like underneath. And you can see I've got the plate on the back side. I've got those bolts going through the, the winch frame, the main frame, and then through the bed rails, and then into the plate in the back, and the nuts. So it's loose right now. I don't have it tightened. I just wanted to get something in there to secure this. So I'll go ahead and put the bolts on the other side, put the other plate up, and tighten it all down, finally. Completely bolted down, torqued, smashed, whatever you want to call it. I got a lot of house cleaning I need to do, or housekeeping. I need to, of course, sweep up all these shavings. There's a bunch of shavings back here that I've got to do, underneath the bed rug. And then, of course, clean up all the tools, and then we'll start with the battery box. Now, the nice thing about this battery box, and the battery that I use, the battery is a vented battery, but it was designed for some sort of a vent system on a factory vehicle. So I'll show that to you, but I already know what I'm going to do because I already did it on my last one. That's what this little hole is right here, and that's for a tube system to mount on the vent caps of the battery. And that tube runs into here, and then it goes through the drain hole in the bed, which you can see the light there. It's just a little tiny hole. I'll have to elongate it a little bit to make the hose go through, but yeah, that'll give me the vent that will allow me to use a vented battery in this cap. It works really well, really well, but yeah, this thing is solid. The nice thing about having this in here is, again, for winching that toad up if I need to do that, which I'll have to figure out some sort of a ramp system because I'm not carrying around my big ramps. So that's not going to work out so well. I'll have to do some sort of a nice folding aluminum ramp that will stay out of the way. But it is so solid. Let me see if you can get up in here and possibly get an eye on the sandwich action that I was talking about. There you go. You can see it's torqued and it's smashed. I mean, it's really got this frame rail sandwiched in there. Now, this frame rail isn't very strong for the most part. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But I'm telling you, as far as the geometry of this frame and the way the force is applied to the bed, it really doesn't do anything as far as flex. I mean, I can bottom out, again, this winch, which is rated at 1,700 pounds, and it doesn't flex at all. There's no flex whatsoever. So it works. It really works. I used to have this here for my mopeds also. It just coincidentally worked for them to where I could put the mopeds in here across the front and use this for a mounting system, just with some padding, which I can do that again. I've got some roll bar padding I might put on it and make sure that whatever we set up against it doesn't get scratched. But it's pretty versatile having it in here. Ooh, I'm out of breath. Now, the water tank, which I plan on putting in here, is going to be relatively low profile, but it will have, again, that frame that will allow me some sort of support if I want to go with something a little bit taller. And I thought about actually making, some kind of a fancy water fill, into the side of the cap or something like that. And I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to run hoses. I'll keep one hose up on the railing of the cap where all the clamps are, and then I would take and run, put a low point drain on the tank that goes out of the bed of the truck. I'll probably have to drill for that, obviously. And then, I don't have to. I mean, the low point drain I could run out of the truck. I could do that. Really rather not drill on this truck too much. I mean, the next guy that gets it after me may not like that it's set up that way. But, I think that I've got a good idea of what I want to do. And as far as a water pump, I think I definitely want to do that. I'd like to have a water pump that's on board the truck that also runs off 12 volt, maybe the same battery even that's in the back. So the winch was really handy for business. I used it a lot, but now I think we can utilize it for RV stuff. The back of the bed is swept. It's all clean. Looks so nice whenever it's clean. And I got that roll bar padding up there. I put that roll bar padding back in 2006 and I still have pieces left from a street rod that I had. I wanted to show you what this looked like before I put it in, so you can see how crude it is. This is just made out of an old shelf that used to be in my dad's basement. I salvaged the wood like I did our front steps on our house. That was an old deck that he had on the back of his house that came down, and I used what I could. So you can see what I was talking about. Here's the hose here, and these pieces here, there's two of them, obviously, with a T. They just go onto these vents right here. There's one there, and there's one there. That's the only way this battery can vent out, is out these holes. And I got a battery absorb mat in the bottom, just in case. I got some blocks of wood in there just to keep this thing from moving around so much. And then I have a cheap multimeter that goes on the front, so I can always check my voltage without opening the lid. This is a connector that goes to the battery post like so, and then it connects like so, and then these two leads go to the meter. Now the nice thing about it is I can disconnect the solar panel, which has a really long cable, and I can check my battery voltage, what the battery's reading, just by unplugging the harness from, obviously, the solar panel. If I want to see how many volts this panel is generating, I can unplug the battery. And again, it's all stayed connected to the little multimeter. This is just one of those cheap freebies that you get at Harbor Freight. Then, if I want to see what the battery's like with the solar panel connected, of course, I leave everything connected. It's, you know, crude, but it gets the job done. And this is one of those Schumacher's. I'll put a link down below here. 2.4. I did a review on this, and it's a pretty good panel, all except it is not weatherproof. You know, it's not, you can't lay it out in the rain or nothing like that. But it does a good job for the money, and I like it because it maintains this battery. For all the winching that I did with my business, all I had to do is make sure when I came home at some point after maybe winching, let's say 8 riders in the back of the truck, having this solar panel connected all the time just on top of the box, which this is the lid, this goes on top and latches. There is some sun again that comes through the cap and charges the battery, but I usually unferrule this little Velcro strap that I got holding all that mess together, and just put it on the tailgate as I drop the tailgate like that on my, of course, on my older truck, but still. And it always maintained the battery. I put a battery maintainer over the winter. Again, one of those cheap Harbor Freight little specials, you know, this thing here. And that maintains it throughout the winter, but this battery's been going strong. And, you know, last year we had it in the camper, and the year before that we had it in the truck and the camper, back and forth. So it's been serving us good. I mean, I paid $35 for it at a junkyard, and everything's been pretty decent. Okay, the battery box is in, the cables are routed, the winch is connected, and this is connected for the meter and the charge and everything else. And the gauge of wire that's here is more than adequate for the solar panel. I mean, the solar panel, the cables are very small. Again, it's just a maintainer more than anything else. But the vents run down through the bed, underneath the bed, which I'll show that to you yeah, in a second here where it comes out and what it looks like down there. But let's go ahead and try to, probably not. Let's see if I can do it one-handed. Why not? So the solar panel, these two leads, first of all, come out this hole right here. Let's try to do one at a time here. And this is just for that cheap meter. There's one. And a two, like Lawrence Welk used to say. A one and a two. And then this clips in to connect everything as far as the meter and the solar panel goes. Again, these meters are free, so I don't ever expect anything spectacular out of them, but they do a good job for what I need to do here. Then when I need to measure the voltage, I just turn this on, like so. And it says I have 12, oh, I don't know what that is. 12.84. You guys have a better angle at it than I do. So let's go ahead and unplug this, which shouldn't really make too much difference right now. Yeah, it doesn't. There's not a lot of sun. It's not seeing a lot of sun. You can see it's just kind of bouncing there, 12.83, 12.84. But if I wanted to see what the solar panel's reading, I'll go ahead and just connect the solar panel and then disconnect the battery. And wow, putting out 18.52 volts, which is not bad. And I mean, considering the lights that are here, so you can see it does do a decent job maintaining. What I'll do is I'll plug in the battery now, and now the solar panel is charging the battery. Not very much, just maintaining it. I shouldn't say charge. I think people get upset about that. So then the battery lid goes back on. Let's go ahead and show you what that looks like. Something like this. Make sure I got it the right way. Yeah, it looks like I got it the right way. Then there's a couple latches here. There's one, and there's two. That's it. We're done. This project's finished, and hopefully one day we'll get to where we can have one of these totes fully loaded with gray water or whatever it may be, and have me winching it up in the back of the truck, because I think it would do a pretty good job. I think this might work. The only thing that I can see that might be a problem is that there'll be other stuff in the back of the truck, so I always have to have a clear path to the winch and the cable. But not something that can't be done. So we'll see. As always, guys, I hope to see you out there. Bye.